Hey, what's up, my comic book aficionados? Today I'm gonna be hitting you with an X-Men review. Now we're in for a long one, guys, so go ahead and crack open a 40 ounce of brew. Grab yourself some tacos, because we're gonna be here for a minute. We're talking about Fatal Attractions. This was a X-Men event done back in 1993. The main writer, I believe, was Scott Lobdell. And they collected this in omnibus and also in two trade paperbacks, being book 1 and book 2. So we're gonna do book 1 today, break it up into 2 so the video don't run super extra long. So this story starts off where Professor Xavier and Bishop are chopping it up. They're talking about they're in the center of operations for the X-Men. Bishop kind of wants to leave the team, and Professor Xavier's telling him to stay, so don't worry about it. Now, to find out why Bishop wants to leave the team, it's based on something that happened in the previous story arc, being Executioner's Song. So we won't get into that right now. That'll be for another video. And then we jump into this school for this lady. She's a nurse, Sharon Freelander. She's a nurse for the students at the school. And in her mind, she's just thinking about how she used to be the nurse for the New Mutant school. In the New Mutant school, she's saying how this is so tame and laid back by comparison. Because in the other school, things were always popping up because the students were mutants, right? As she's telling us this, bam, somebody just floors her. Turns out it's the Acolytes, who we thought were dead. So they're not dead. They're still around. So then we want to know, why are they at the school? It turns out they're looking for this mutant. One of the children at the school is a mutant. And the student is not there yet because they went on some type of field trip. So they're going to sit there and play the waiting game. Now we go to Professor X, and this detective named Charlie Jones. She's showing up to bring Professor X some information, right? She's saying, this is crazy. Why am I? And then she tells Professor X, how do I know you're not just brainwashing me to do this? Because because of the powers you hold to control people. He says, do you think I'm controlling you? She says, no, I don't think you are, because I think there's something I would do anyways. She's not all bad. She doesn't hate all mutants. There's some good ones and there's some bad ones. So she's down with the X-Men. She's not a hater, and she does want to help. So being she's a detective, she has a lot of information and stuff that can help Professor Xavier. So she's gonna hook him up with what she knows about certain events and so forth. Now, before we get to that, Professor Xavier's powers go off. You see the facial expression in his face. He's like, oh shit! Like, something just happened. Something just happened nearby. So we cut to the next scene. A school bus just exploded. I think we all know what happened here. Is the school bus, the children that the Acolytes were waiting for. So when the school bus explodes, the driver, he has some type of training. He used to be ex-CIA or something, or military. So he knows how to defend himself, and he carries a gun with him. So he's not just a sitting duck, you know what I'm saying? He's there, the bus explodes, the Acolytes, they're just posted there with the explosion behind them, looking like some 80s movie, right? So now they go up to the bus to look for the child, and bam, this bus driver just murks one of them, lets them have it. So that guy's gonzo, so he's not gonna be around. Once they do that, the Acolytes kill him, or we think they kill him. They either they kill him or he's severely injured. Or either way, he's at a commish. Once this happens, bam, Wolverine pops up, and boom, he just slices through one of these Acolytes, and that was Merc too. He's gone. So immediately on this story, the stakes are high. People are dropping left and right, and they ain't coming back. Back to what Forge is doing. Turns out he's in Kuwait, and he found Asteroid M. So we thought Asteroid M was destroyed and that all the Acolytes went down with it. So he's like, oh shit, the ship is still here. They found it. So he goes, let's go inside and investigate it. He's with a few other humans. They're looking at the ship. They went inside. It's kind of eerie in there. I like the lighting, the way they did the coloring and so forth right here. Feels like an alien book at this moment. So who knows what's gonna pop up? One of the Acolytes, right? No. It's a few dead bodies, and then there's Magneto's uniform. It's a little roughed up, but there's no body in it. So they're like, hey, there's no body in here, it's just a suit. So obviously he walked away and left the suit here. At least that's what we think. We think he's alive. And Forge, you think he would immediately notify Professor Xavier, but he doesn't. So now we get to the next day. Professor X has a big meeting at CNN, right? So there's Senator Kelly, there's Professor Xavier, and there's Creed. We're having like a political debate here. And Professor Xavier, they're talking about, because it was all over the news, all over the media. some shit went down in a school with these terrorists, acolytes, 14 people dead. So all the people are hearing is mutants killed 14 people. Like these freaking mutants, they're at it again. Like we need to just get rid of all of them, right? They're no good. They're, terrorist groups like the Acolytes, they ruin the reputation of other good mutants because we start painting all of them with a broad brush. And people have a legit reason to fear them and to think this of them because of the bad ones, right? Obviously, they're not all like that, but you can see how some people would feel that way. So Professor Xavier has to let people know not all of us are like that. That there's a lot of X-Men here. They're good mutants. And then Creed, who he's obviously a racist. We all know this. He's the leader of the Friends of Humanity, which in the X-Men universe is kind of like the Ku Klux Klan. And Creed is basically proposing genocide that ain't gonna fly with Senator Kelly, right? And Senator Kelly even tells them, "Hey, don't use me as someone that's gonna help you in this agenda you're trying to push, because you might think I hate all mutants because Senator Kelly's wife was killed during an X-Men fight when they were fighting some evil mutants. So for a while he hated mutants, but not all mutants, just those specific ones. And a lot of X-Men readers think, oh, Senator Kelly's an asshole. He's also he's just like Creed, right? But he's not. He has more depth to him. Creed is very one-dimensional. He just hates mutants, and that's that. Senator Kelly is not like that. And Professor Xavier's arguing with him that you're trying to violate the civil rights of mutants. They're still Americans, right? Because the next thing they're saying is though they should all register because they're loaded weapons. Says that's violating their civil rights. So we're having this interesting debate here between all three of them. Then Beast comes on CNN, right? So once he comes on, he starts debating with Creed, and Creed says, "Do you know who I am?" And then Beast cuts him off and goes, "Yeah, you're a racist. It's obvious." And Beast is telling him how much, what a piece of shit he is. And he's debating with him and he just destroys him. He destroys him verbally in the debate. He just hands him his ass, right? And people are watching CNN on different places. And you got people at the sports bar. You got the X-Men there like, woo, 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 woo. Like it's Arsenio Hall show. It's like a sporting event. They're drinking there and they're rooting for them. Like you're rooting for your favorite team and you're rooting against the other team, right? So Beast obviously was catering towards the lower common denominator, to the people that are drunk watching sports and stuff. That got high ratings for CNN there, but it was a little heavy-handed. It was very low class. Senator Kelly's watching this, and he's like, "Oh my God! Like this guy just went all ghetto on us." He even stuck out his tongue at Creed. So while he looked good and won the debate, at the same time he looked, you know, he looked very immature. And in debates, this debate here they had was very accurate of how political debates have turned into nowadays. It turned into a sporting event where you're rooting against somebody and you're rooting for somebody, and that's not how they used to be back in these days. This was back in '93. They were more conservative when they argued with each other. They were more careful with the words. They had more class. They came off more intelligent. Now they come off as like me on TV. These other on both sides. A lot of these other politicians that are on both sides, Democrats and Republicans, they come off very childish nowadays. They don't come off professional at all. To the whole debate, Senator Kelly wants to have a word with Professor X. He goes, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think we have a lot in common, and I think we're striving towards the same goals. Because we all know the problems, we all know the issues, but what we need now is answers and solutions. And he's asking Professor Xavier if he has any ideas. Professor X says, the media controls a lot of this. If we always show is mutants killing humans, being terrorists, we just show the bad mutants. Humans are gonna hate mutants, and all we show is the humans that attack mutants and kill mutants and are racist. Then we're gonna hate all humans, right? You're only showing the bad because that's what people like, drama, right? And that's what gets ratings. Because what we should do is concentrate on showing every time humans and mutants work together on the news. Every time a human does a good deed, every time a mutant does a good deed. Let's show that. Let's constantly show that to show the good in the world. And that'll get people to like each other and be at peace. And then they're talking about this, and this is so like ahead of its time. Like when I'm reading this, I'm like this is like all the shit that's going down right now, and these are all the right solutions, right? This was genius to me. I love this issue. I was really digging it. Issue ends with Senator Kelly and Professor Xavier shaking hands, and they had a good talk. And you see Jean Grey looking at them and going, wow, I never thought I'd see the day where Senator Kelly and Professor Xavier agree on most things. Each other, they're getting along. She's like, wow, welcome to the 90s. Things have changed, right? Because in the 80s, when Senator Kelly's wife died, he was not this guy. Like, he had a little bit, he had some anger towards certain mutants and so forth. So the issue ends there. Very strong issue. I was loving it. Then we get to the issue 300. This is a giant size issue because it's 300. It's a big milestone. So this issue starts off with the X-Men going to France to pick up Dr. Moira McTaggart. Now where she stays, that shit is all burned down. So they're like, obviously she's not there, or if she is, she's dead. They're like, but let's still go check inside, see if we find any bodies. Maybe there's people we can still save. And as they're looking for her, the Acolytes have that place. They have surveillance there because they took Moira McTaggart. They have her captured, and they want to see who comes to rescue her, right? So when they see the X-Men there, they're like, there they are. Now, while we're in the Acolytes Center of Operations, Moira McTaggart saying, "Oh, I know what happened to Magneto, to the rest of you, and so forth." She's saying, Fabian Cortez, the leader of the Acolytes, he killed Magneto. And he's like, "That's nonsense. Wuti. And so nobody believes her. But then one of the Acolytes overhears Fabian Cortez admitting to it that, yeah, I killed this guy, and what if they take my leadership and so forth. So when this Acolyte hears him, he has the power to teleport through portals. Fabian Cortez sees him, so he shoots him. And as he shoots him, he crosses through the portal, but after he's been shot, so Fabian Cortez immediately calls the rest of the Acolytes, go look for him. He's spreading lies about me. He wants to break us up, right? So they go look for this guy. And when they go find him, there's this lady, just a regular human. She finds him shot on the floor. She goes, "Are you okay?" She's trying to help him. The Acolytes show up and bam, they just get rid of this girl. It's just a regular human. She's not a threat. They kill her cold-bloodedly. And you just see her there. It was kind of fucked up. You're like, damn, like they just let her have it. So right when this Acolyte kills her, bam, that Acolyte gets killed. From behind, you see somebody's claws just kill them, and it's Wolverine. The X-Men showed up. They found out where these Acolytes were at. And this is like a game of get back and more get back. You just seen a lot of killing in this story arc of the Fatal Attractions. That's already like what 6-7 people they've shown getting killed. So here the X-Men are not scared to kill, neither are the villains. Fighting Professor Xavier, he recognizes one of the Acolytes. Her name is Amelia. And I guess they have some type of past, and like they known each other before. And it turns out her parents were killed by, she calls them flat scans, which is just, or their word for regular humans. He's talking to her, telling her, why are you doing this? Trying to like help her lead. Like, you don't need to be a part of this fight, while the rest of the X-Men are all and an all-out war right now. And we get to the end of this issue where Fabian Cortez, he's fighting Bishop. And Bishop's power is to absorb your energy, your powers. Fabian Cortez's power is to amp up your powers. So when Bishop is grabbing him, absorbing his energy, Fabian Cortez is making him more powerful, giving him an overdose basically to fry his circuits or get him to just kill himself, to explode, right? So while he's doing this, bam, Wolverine strikes again. That's the third person in the book he murks. He just comes from behind and slashes them up again. So that's 3 people in this story already. And he just drops dead right there. Or at least we think he's dead, right? In a new side of Wolverine, but we're not. This is how Wolverine's always been, pretty much. And he tries to control himself from going berserker rage and not killing, but he does do it a lot. And we're seeing Colossus, his little sister, Ilyana. She's sick, she has the flu, and it keeps getting worse. So he's not his normal self. He's going through issues because in the previous story arc, Bishop's Crossing, his brother just suicided himself. And now his sister's sick. So he's kind of like in a bad mood about all this stuff. And we jump to the next issue after the whole battle and everything. They're back at home, and Professor Xavier is talking to Moira McTaggart now that they saved her. Telling her, I need you because she's a scientist and so forth. She's a smart person. So they're trying to together come up with a cure. And the more they find out they can't find a cure, she's telling him, I don't think this is the common flu. She's telling Professor Xavier, she goes, this is a stronger virus. And she goes, she says something about a legacy. He goes, but this is going to be her legacy or something. She's hinting at the girl's dying. And when she says the word legacy, it triggers something in Professor Xavier's brain. He starts thinking about a speech in the previous event, Executioner song, with Strife is included in that event, and he said something about a legacy virus. This triggers that memory in Professor Xavier's mind, and now he's thinking this is what she has because he's bringing it to all mutants. So now he's stressing and he's worried. He's like, because he knows if she has this virus, she ain't coming back from it. She's her days are numbered. To the X-Men annual, and here we're in San Miguel and we get introduced to this new character named Executioner. So he looks pretty cool. He looks dope. I'm digging his costume. He works as some type of military person, and he has access to all kinds of stuff, all kinds of technology, right? So he made this costume with sheer empire technology. So this is so he's a force to be reckoned with, even though he's just a regular human. And it starts off here where we got this B-list villain named Tower. He's at this bar and he grabs this lady there, the waitress, and he's like trying to grab up on her and stuff, basically trying to take advantage of her. And Executioner shows up and just lets this guy have it, just kills him. And a lot of the people there, some are scared of him. They're like, "Oh my God, he just killed this guy. What if the next time we do something he doesn't like, he's gonna kill us?" And some are rooting for him. They're like, "He's a real hero. That's what that guy needed," and so forth. So this guy holds nothing back. He takes no prisoners. After this happens, I go visit Mastermind because he somehow summoned Jean Grey. And when he summoned her through telekinesis or whatever, because he has powers to read people, to get into people's heads, and Jean Grey's a telepath, so they somehow linked up, right? She goes, "We gotta go see what he wants." Turns out he also has this legacy virus. He looks like he's in terrible shape. He's dying. When they go to visit him, bam, they automatically all get knocked out into a coma. So their bodies are there, but their minds are somewhere else. They're in La La Land, right? With Mastermind. Also in a coma, and he's having like seizures and stuff because he has this legacy virus. And it turned out, we don't know if he did this part on purpose or not. All we know is that once they're there, he's talking to Jean Grey. He says, "I didn't do this on purpose. I can't control my powers right now because they're all out of whack because I'm sick. But I am dying, and I wanted to call you here because he wanted to make amends. Way back in the days in the Dark Phoenix saga, like X-Men issues like 132, I think, he manipulated Jean Grey with his powers. He brainwashed her to be his girlfriend, and he was having sex with her and stuff. So he basically he roofied her, right? And took advantage. And that was a long time ago when Jean Grey was younger and he was younger. And now he wanted to call her here before he died to kind of make amends, to apologize and whatnot, right? So Jean Grey tells him, yeah, she forgives him. And then Professor Xavier, with his telekinetic power, lets her know, if you guys are in a coma right now, you're being trapped by him. But if he dies while you guys are in a coma, while you're in his brain, you guys are not coming back from that coma. So she's telling him, "Please set us free." He goes, "I can't. It's not me. It's the virus. I can't control my powers." And she begs him, and he's like, he tries his hardest to control the power and to set them free, and he succeeds. But in doing so, he was so weak. By doing that, he took his last breaths, and by the time they woke up, flatlined. And I guess it was kind of like trying to read. This was a story of redemption, and it's crazy because this story, this X-Men event is called Fatal Attractions, and we got characters dying. Like Amy molested Jean Grey. Tower was trying to take advantage of this other woman. So it really made sense with the name of this event, right? This guy Executioner, he's on his way to go kill Mastermind. So he's coming to this hospital. He's like, "I gotta get rid of this guy. Get rid of all scumbag mutants." The X-Men are there trying to stop him. The X-Men that went to stop him, they don't know Mastermind has already passed away at this point. So they're fighting him. And with his technology, whatever, he had this badass sword. Think of a lightsaber like the ones the Star Wars characters use. And man, he just splits Colossus's wig. You just see him here, the way the issue ends, the last page. It looks like he's in critical condition, right? Issue ends there. And we're just worried about Colossus right now. Like, fuck, is he gonna live? Because people have been dropping like flies in this event. We get introduced to a new line in the X-Men series. This one is called X-Men Unlimited. So this issue 1, I love this cover. I love the interior art on this story. Had this as a kid, read it a bunch of times. The X-Men are trapped in the snow here because Fitzroy went to hunt down this new mutant so they could join this group they're starting called the Upstarters. This new mutant joins the team, but to prove herself, she has to kill some of the X-Men. At this point, Cyclops, Storm, and Professor Xavier are on the plane. The three leaders, basically. And she goes, "I will earn points if I kill all three leaders." So they're flying the jet, and bam! You just see explosion go down. They destroyed the jet, and they're flying down, and it crashes. Luckily, they all survive because uh, Storm uses the power of wind to kind of cushion the. She can't hold the plane, but she can slow it down so it doesn't fall so dramatically and kill everybody, right? So now they're stranded in the snow, and this is basically a story about the X-Men being in the snow trying to survive while somebody comes to rescue them. It was a nice issue about survival and so forth. We've seen this done in movies before, and it was very well done in this comic. Then we get to fight this girl Blaze. The X-Men gotta fight her. They don't know who she is or why they're fighting her. Go back to Forge, see what he's been up to. He's hanging out with Mystique. They're working out. So it turns out, I guess she's like a good guy right now. She's lounging, kicking it with Forge. While they're kicking back, Fitzroy pops up. He's been looking for Forge. Why, you ask? Because he wants to kill Forge because they're having this competition where he wants to kill Forge to earn some points. Whoever busts the biggest lick, and whatnot, becomes the leader of the upstarts. So it's like an initiation type of thing. It's kind of a stupid reason. It's whack, but it's just an excuse to get the story going, give the villains a reason. So while him and Forge are fighting, when he finds them, bam, he just destroys Forge's leg right here because he has a cyborg leg. He hits it and that shit just falls to pieces. Forge isn't gonna be able to defend himself on one leg. So Mystique shows up, trying to back his play. She jumps up behind him, fights Fitzroy, and Fitzroy just lets her have it. She's injured, man down, right? Storm is casually flying by, and boom, she sees Forge's place just blow up. You see the skyscraper just blow up. And when this happens, this is crazy right here because when this happens, she sees debris, pieces of glass, and pieces of the building flying everywhere, landing on humans. So she uses the winds, and she has the power of the wind to slow all the pieces down, keep them in there as much as she can to save the humans. Saving humans, and all these other humans see that, and a few of them jump to conclusions. Freaking terrorists, you know how they are. They're always doing this shit. You got a few of those humans around, and then they rile up the other humans. So police officer shows up, and he stops them. He protects Storm. He goes, and then you see a stop bubbles. He's saying they obviously don't know this mutant is freaking saving us from all that stuff landing on us. Takes out his gun, protects her, tells everybody, stay the fuck back. Leave her alone. And they go, "You're really gonna protect this mutant?" He goes, "I'm an officer of the law. My job is to protect everybody, right?" So once everything is done and over with, she thanks the police officer. He says, "Don't worry. I'm a police officer. We're here to protect and serve even those who fear and hate us. Police officers." So he goes, "So I could relate to you X-Men." So that was a real cool thing that happened right there because they get a bad rap. So after this happens, we go back to Professor X, and we come to the conclusion Ilyana has the legacy virus, and we're dealing with another death. Man, this Fatal Attraction story, people don't just stop dying. Another person dies here. Ilyana, Kitty Pryde, who was a good friend of Ilyana's, shows up to visit her because she knows she's in her last days. Visits her, and as she's talking to her, they're having a good time. And in that moment, her and Jubilee are kind of consoling her, and in that moment, she dies. And as this happens, we see Colossus is pissed off that he had to go. He had to go with Mastermind. He's like, "Why my sister's over there at home dying? I'm here watching this fucking idiot die, right? This rapist. Because couldn't I be doing this with my sister, someone more important to me?" So he's really like, he's going through a lot of stuff right now. He hates the X-Men for making him go on these missions. He's like, "What about my personal life? Doesn't that count?" So now Colossus is on a mission with the rest of the X-Men to go where Storm was at, to go help her out, help her look for Forge, see if he's somewhere alive along all the debris. Him and Bishop go, they find him, and they find Fitzroy. And Colossus is just so freaking pissed off at this moment. He just beats the shit out of Fitzroy. He beats him so bad, I believe he beat him to death. I don't think he's breathing after this, right? He's gone, and they're holding Colossus back. They're like, "Calm down, relax yourself." He's dealing with a lot of shit, and he's just found a way to vent and let that anger out. and at least he let it out towards the villain. And man, he really gave it to Fitzroy. And after this, he's already pissed off that like he knows already Ilyana's about to die. Like, so he goes back to the X Mansion. He doesn't know she's already dead. So once they tell him she's dead, there's kind of no reaction from him. He's just quiet and walks away because I guess he kind of already knew what was happening, but at the same time he's pissed and he just fucking murdered somebody. So he's just like, he's like in a situation right now where he kind of needs a psychiatrist or something. So that's the end of the story. That's the end of book one. Thank you guys for reading along with me. And now that we read the story, now we all know what happens. Let me give you my thoughts and my review on this. First of all, I like to talk about the Upstarters. They were just a lame group. They were the villains here. The overall plot was pretty weak. Didn't have much point to it. They just basically the reasons why they were being terrorists and doing the stuff they were doing was lame, just to see who could be the leader, like an initiation. That was just, that was just lame. And then we got there was no like strong villain. It lacked a strong villain in this story. You had Fabian Cortez, you had a few other villains, Fitzroy, who's a weenie. They were just weenies. And the heroes, you had Wolverine that he constantly just appeared, killed somebody. He was that character that just appeared at the convenient moments and then disappeared the rest of the story. Then appeared again at another convenient moment. So I don't even know why did you give those moments to him if he's not really in the story. I wish you would have gave those. I guess he was there for shock value, but I wish you would have gave those big moments to some of the other characters. Maybe Bishop. He could have came off as a badass doing some of this stuff instead of having Wolverine do everything. Now the good points about the story. I like the character moments with a lot of the other characters, like with Colossus, how he's coping with death. He lost his brother, now he's losing his sister. How Jean Grey, her moments with Mastermind. So you had some big character moments that dealt a lot with death and redemption, how people would act in their last moments before they die. What do they regret in their life, or what do they want to do before they go out? So that was pretty cool. So like the main story wasn't that strong, but the story within the story, we always have stories in these single issues that you could read, and you don't need to like the overall plot, but every single issue has its own story that you could just pick up one of these issues, read them, and enjoy just the story in there without knowing the whole overall arc, because the whole overall arc is not the greatest, but the stories in them are very good stories about stuff that's just they're things you can apply in your real life, things you can learn from. And that's the best part of X-Men, especially 80s and 90s X-Men. That's the best stuff. Okay, if you like what you saw and you want to watch the book 2 review when I get through with that book, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That will notify you on your feed when the next review's up. Other than that, I guess that's all I got for you guys. I'll check you guys out next time.